to the Weber County Board of Commissioners. We'll call this meeting to order, dated this 29th day of August 2017 at 10 o'clock. Attending today is myself, Commissioner James Ebert, Commissioner Harvey, and Commissioner Gibson will be with us in just one moment. We'll start today by invocation by Commissioner Harvey. I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I'll give the thought of the day.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be able to assemble today here in this public body. We're mindful today of all the opportunities and fortune we enjoy. We're also mindful of those who are in the process of rebuilding their lives in those areas around the lower part of Texas. Please bless those and bless all those who will help them and are helping them. We pray that through sustainable efforts in the past, they get and arrive safely and are well received and bring aid. We pray that our decisions today will be guided by impression and thought, that we will be able to remember what we've been taught. Truths. This is our prayer we ask in the name of the Savior's name, even Jesus Christ. Amen.
Will the audience please rise and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a quick thought I have. I don't have a quote today. We had an opportunity yesterday to have a little fundraiser here for the Weber County Commissioners Cup. We had amazing staff that put a tremendous amount of time, effort, and energy, and we'd like to say thank you to Stacy, Shelley, Paige, and Michelle for all the work. We had amazing volunteers that were there. We had an amazing time. But probably the most important thing is we had two amazing charities, correct? The first one was the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and then RAD, which is Rape Awareness. And it's some training that you can take that will make, and there's some training and some education through that process, and it's an amazing charity. We just wanted, from the commission standpoint, to say thank you to those who put so much time, effort, and energy, to the staff who just put what I believe is the very best golf tournament on, and then to those charities. Many times we forget that those charities are run by people that put their heart and soul into something extremely important, and it makes a difference in people's lives. So if you have an opportunity to volunteer and be part of something, a charity, we would encourage you to be a member of our community that helps build and strengthen our community, because again, I like to say this all the time, communities are made up of people. So thank you very much. We'll start our meeting today on consent items E. Number 1 is a request for approval of warrants 1179 to 1185 and 420103 to 420463 in the amount of $2,993,472.50. Item number 2, request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $181,287.82. Item 3, request for approval of minutes for the meeting held on August 22nd, 2017. 4, request for approval of a retirement agreement by and between Weber County and Shauna Hunter. Item number 5, request to set the date of Tuesday, September 12th, 2017 at 10 a.m. for a public hearing to consider and take action on an application to vacate retention basin easement on lots 4, 5, 6, and 14 of Mallard Springs subdivision located at approximate an unknown address somewhere in Mallard Springs. Number 6, a request for approval of Weber County Human Services Policy 3-100, harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. And item number 17 is a request for approval of Weber County Human Resources Policy 3-200, reasonable accommodation. Any questions on the consent items?
I have no questions on the consent items and just trying to find that exact address, but it's not on the, electronically on the, that I'm looking for here. So I'll, with that though, we know where Mallard Springs is.
Be wonderful. We could read it in. 2475 South, 4000 West. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Hatch, would you give us an update on our POs and on our warrants,
I'd
please?
be happy to. We had 16 purchase orders this week for $181,000. The bulk of that, 77% or $140,000, was for the health department, almost exclusively for vaccines. 9% or $17,000 was for our recreation department, and that was for sewer plumbing supplies. And then 5% or $10,000 was for IT, and that was primarily network storage. For our checks, we wrote 368 checks this week for $3 million. 43% of that, or $1.3 million, was the construction for the main library. 25% or $759,000 was health, dental, and life insurance for county employees. And 8% or $245,000 was construction on 12th Street. That's it.
Thank you, Ricky. Any questions on the warrants or POs?
I have no questions, and with that explanation, move that we approve these consent items as read.
I will second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It passes. Thank you very much. On to F, action items. Number 1, a request for approval of a cooperative agreement by and between Weber County and Utah Department of Transportation to allow UDOT to deposit certain materials to the Weber County C&D landfill at agreed upon fees. Mr. McLeod.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good to meet with you this morning.
Likewise.
My golf partner is up there, and I was amazed yesterday at his technical ability
How poor it is. And
to communicate. Commissioners, this agreement is between Weber County and UDOT to allow the county and UDOT to negotiate fees for depositing waste at the construction and demolition landfill. They have in the past their street sweepings and other things and construction projects that happen here in the county that UDOT may be involved in through DFCM have demolition contractors and that work with them that would like the opportunity and ability to negotiate those kinds of fees to help the projects along, to help minimize the impact to the taxpayer on depositing those items in the landfill. So this would allow us to do that, aside from the fee ordinance that's in place that governs those fees for commercial. Any questions?
Commissioner.
No, just to make sure that I completely understand, the C&D landfill is the one that's out on West 12th Street. Is that correct?
Yes, out on the very west end of 12th Street.
I have no other questions, Chair.
The only question I have is specific to segregation of any of the loads. Who will perform that? Is that above and beyond? Is there a charge for the segregation if we have a rejected waste shipment? Or is Mr. Molding just going to be responsible for that, and that's nothing we should?
Yeah, certainly the Moldings manage that. They look at the loads as they come in and make sure that they're what they're proposed to be or supposed to be in that contract. And we would basically sign an agreement on each project. So that would be determined in that agreement, and then they would handle that out there.
The only concern again I would have is that as we get into larger projects that have contamination, but if we're reviewing each project, I'm very comfortable with that.
Yeah, we would. They look for those. They don't accept any hazardous materials out there, and they would make sure.
By contract.
And they do a great job of managing that.
Thank you, sir. See no further discussion. Open for motion.
Move for approval of contract between, or the cooperative agreement by and between Weber County and Utah Department of Transportation to allow UDOT to deposit certain materials to the Weber County C&D landfill.
I will second the motion. Any further discussion, Commissioner?
None?
Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Thank you, Mr. McLeod.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Item number 2, request for approval of an addendum to a contract by and between Weber County and the Salt Lake County for housing Salt Lake County inmates. Stephanie Ebert,
Hello,
welcome.
thank you. A few weeks ago, Chief Burton from our office came and presented a contract to house inmates for Salt Lake County. And there was a slight wording change on one of the clauses dealing with the medical care, specifically prescription drugs for those inmates that we just have an addendum for that I'm asking for your approval for today.
I don't have any
Questions?
I think it'd be a good time though to just state about how that works.
Yeah, again, as the Rio Grande project has started up, and we have seen an impact within our community for individuals that are homeless and looking for, as they've been displaced. Some of the concerns were with the contract bringing inmates up here. We did talk to the sheriff and to Mr. Burton specifically concerning how those inmates were being released. Could you cover that just for one moment, just to reiterate and address the concerns someone within the public had?
Correct. The contract specifies that the inmates that we are housing for Salt Lake County, when they are processed out, if they're being released for time served or whatever other means that they might be released into the community, they actually are being transported back to Salt Lake County by Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office. And then they'll be processed out of custody in Salt Lake through the Salt Lake County Jail. So I think there was some concern, as you mentioned, about releasing those individuals into our community, and that should not be the case. They will be transported back to Salt Lake to be processed out through their jail in Salt Lake.
At their expense.
Yes.
There was another specific concern that was raised as we brought some of these inmates up. Some of them had specific behavioral health and or other programs that they were in. I know there was a specific program that some of the population was involved in. And as we kind of investigated into it, I think Salt Lake County realized that, and did they transport those population back?
The turnaround time on this contract, the need was very urgent, and it all kind of happened really quickly. And the initial transfer of the inmates to our facility was done, and then there was some concern, as you mentioned, of mostly the female inmates in a program for an addiction program. And those inmates were identified and actually just transferred back to Salt Lake, and replacement inmates were brought up that were not in the program, so that those individuals could finish their program, whether it was in Salt Lake or another jail that may have had that program. Weber County does have some programming. We have a substance abuse program in our Kiesel facility that we specifically have used for state inmates that are in our custody. But that was a little bit different program, and that didn't fit into what those inmates that were coming up from Salt Lake County were involved in. And so, as you mentioned, those were identified very quickly and moved back so that they could complete their program.
Thank you. Any further questions, Commissioner?
I have none.
Open for a motion.
I'll move that we approve the request for approval of an addendum to the contract by and between Weber County and Salt Lake County for housing Salt Lake County inmates.
I'll second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? It passes. Thank you. Item number 3, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Wasatch Front Multiple Listing Services for a content licensing agreement. Mr. John Ulibarri.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your time today. The contract that we're proposing is between Weber County and the Wasatch Front Regional Multiple Listing Service. What is the Multiple Listing Service? It's essentially a service that provides real estate professionals with sale and listing data. What does Weber County use it for? The multiple listing service provides 95% of our sale information, and we also use their service for other statistical data. The contract specifically addresses an exchange of information for a service. What Weber County does is we provide all of our certain pieces of our publicly available data in exchange for a once monthly download of residential sale data and the access to the multiple listing service user interface. And that's it. Do you have any questions?
Commissioners?
I respect the fact that this is valuable data because Utah is it a right to know? Is that
Utah is a non-disclosure state.
Non-disclosure
So
state,
essentially
but
what
one of two, is that if I understand
Yeah,
correctly?
there are very few throughout the country. So what that means is, in many other states, they will actually record the sale price on the deed. In Utah, it says $10 and other good and valuable considerations. So this is essentially the only way that we can get our sale data.
I see this as a great advantage.
It certainly is.
Commissioner Gibson, any?
No, I'll make a motion if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Make a motion that we approve the contract between Weber County and the Wasatch Front MLS.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It passes. Thank you, Mr. Ulibarri.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Item number 4, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and USDA Forest Service for Bicentennial Trail reroute and trail improvements. Jennifer Graham.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning,
Morning.
Ms. Graham.
Morning.
This is a contract that we've kind of been working on for several years. It basically is a coordination between the trail building arm of the U.S. Forest Service, Weber County Parks, and some community members that became involved due to some concerns they had. This trail currently passes from county property onto private property and then onto Forest Service property. So this is a coordination effort to reroute that trail. That trail, which quite frankly in its current condition not only sits on private property but is in very poor condition, excessive erosion, and making it very hard for mountain bikers to use. So this is actually going to improve the trail, take it off of private property, and there's going to be a large contribution from the Forest Service. They're not only rerouting a portion of the trail, but they're also doing some maintenance and repair on another portion while they've got all their equipment up there. This was also a project that was submitted to RAMP, and we received RAMP funding to help with the county's portion of this.
Project location,
North Fork Park.
North Fork Park. So this is basically a great improvement to North Fork Park. Again, just to reiterate, so it doesn't go out of the park onto private, onto Forest Service and back. It just cleans everything up, and so it's we've done a lot of things using coordination of services with other entities, and this is for me, it's a really easy decision. Great work, Jennifer, you and your team. Todd, recognize you and your part in this as well. Thank you.
Well, and the Forest Service, Zach Mon is the individual we've been working with, and he has been so helpful. And we had many different ideas for reroutes of this trail, but most of those ideas would block off a large portion of the park. Well, not block it off, but not make trails accessible to it. So this is leaving the entire park open.
I think in part too that this is a project that we're able to do because we've enjoyed a working relationship with the Forest Service that we haven't seen in probably decades, and so this is a great thing. This is a great thing for all users and everyone up there. So, unless there's any more questions,
A quick question. When I first came on the commission, there was a little piece of a trail that went on an individual's property and around, and he had a really big issue with that. Is this that piece of property? So
This
you've
is-
been working on this for 2.5 years now. So
Yes, at least.
great job.
Yes. I mean, we had to work through the survey process and yes. And because the Forest Service land was involved, we couldn't just reroute the trail without them being a partner.
And I know all that work probably felt like it was never going to happen, because sometimes, but these little wins sometimes are a big deal, so thank you very much.
Yes. Yes, this will make that property owner very happy.
Good.
another win in
Wonderful.
Weaver.
Winning
Winning
Weaver.
Weaver.
Hashtag.
Winning
Hashtag.
Weaver.
All right. Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Okay, open for motion, commissioners.
I'll make the motion that we approve the contract between Weber County and USDA Forest Service for the Bicentennial Trail reroute and trail improvements.
Second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It passes. Thank you, Jennifer, and thank
Thank
you very
you.
much, Todd. Okay, this is the time set aside for public comment. Is there anyone who's attending today that would like to make public comment? Okay, seeing none, we're open for item number H.
Quinn? Oh, he's not here, sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I know you, when I was late getting here, I would imagine you commented on the golf tournament yesterday, but I just wanted to thank, I'm assuming you would thank staff. They did a tremendous job with that, and all the volunteers. There was just a tremendous amount of volunteers that worked on that, but I just wanted to mention the thing that really impressed me as I looked over that group of individuals at the lunch was the impressive nature of the individuals in our community who are just so giving and caring, and they knew that it was there for a good cause. And I think we're at a point where people are not there looking for a good deal on auction items anymore. They're wanting to spend money because they know that it's for a good charity and a good cause, and I just want to thank all of them so that they know that we couldn't do a program like that without them. It's kind of sobering to see the goodness and kindness and love in our community for those that need our help. So I just I hope that some of them will hear some of those comments and understand my appreciation.
Thank you. Great people in our community helping other people in need. It's awesome to give them back, and thanks so much.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. We are adjourned. Thank you for attending.